Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. And for this episode of Cheese Boy Corner, I will be doing two things. One, explaining exactly what a cheese boy is, how it relates to me, and why it's such an interesting topic. So basically, being a cheese boy is somebody that is well off, born into grew up in the suburbs, and essentially you're different from other South African black people that grew up in the Kasi. And basically, one of the big parts of it is the way you speak vernacular, the way you speak English. Accents. It's a very big thing in my country because there's quite a variety of languages, 11 official, and within those languages, there's a different accent that most languages have, ironically. But the thing about language and my country is that our official languages are not the most used. So essentially, depending on the province that you live in, different languages are used. Province or state, if you're an American, but we call them provinces here. But with that, there's a lot of there's tribalism, and there's also just good old fashioned I don't otherness to one another. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of community, and with being a cheese boy, you basically lose out on community to an extent because you are not of the people that live in the Gasi. You don't. You live with other races. Sometimes it's multi-ethnic, sometimes it's quite white, but you don't live where a lot of other black people live. And with that, you're very different in many different senses, but you're still faced with similar challenges. And what I've come to experience, among many things, is not being able to speak vernacular well is bad. But being able to speak English well and not being able to speak vernacular well is worse. So, in my experience, I've had real problems internally with my family and things like that, and just externally with how you're perceived and everything else like that. And I think a big part of it has to do with you seem almost flaunting to have this accent and this English and everything else like that. And depending on the generation, they might applaud you for being able to speak English and being so well spoken, but at the same time, depending on the generation, they might view you as very odd if you're not able to speak Zulu well. Not taking into mind that even if you were a decent speaker, you would not speak the language of anybody else in your area, barring a few people here and there. And it's kind of sad, you know? And in my aspects, in my growing up, I definitely can say that I have lost the fluency of speaking Zulu. Not that I had it much to begin with. And I do have a lot more interactions with the language, but there's always been like a barrier with me and learning languages. I'm not very good with learning them in the first place. It's a miracle I have English, and I'm not very capable of adding on top of that, but I am working on it. And with that being, I still run into problems where I don't have a Zulu word and all of these other type of things. But the real big problem about it, I guess, is you're ostracized a little bit, and it's weird because people would like to be where you're at, but they don't treat you like a regular person anymore. They almost it'll sound rude and very old school, but they hate you because they ain't you. But it's really true, and in a weird way, I find it that I have no problem with the other way. If somebody can't speak English very well, but they speak their vernacular perfectly, I end up finding myself in the position of speaking vernacular terribly and having myself look like a fool just to like almost spare myself the ostracism of speaking English and them not being able to. So yeah, that amongst many other things is one of the main things I'm working on right now. Being able to speak Zulu, being able to speak Vernac, and also, ironically, getting over my weird thing with social media. So it's funny that I'm here, but I am here nonetheless. So Cheese Boy Corner, full force. We're going as often as we can, every week at least, sometimes in the shorts format, but I'll definitely work on both dropping a shorts on one day and a full length video on another.